Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is Science Lectures 256. Don't forget to like, subscribe and follow us on our social media handles at X and on WhatsApp. The links are just in the description box below. So today we are continuing with genetics. Last time we looked at the various scientists from Pythagoras up to Gregor Mendel. So today we are going to have a general overview of the introduction of the concept of genetics. We say genetics is a branch of science or biology that deals with the study of inheritance of traits from one parent to another. And within the inherited traits, we have what they call variation. Variation. So variation simply means differences. Differences in inherited traits. And this variation can be hereditary, or it can be environmental. So in hereditary variation is where we have differences in inherited traits. And for example, the stripes of a zebra, sometimes you can find some zebras having stripes that take this direction, others can have them taking this direction. That can be a form of hereditary variation. The length of the neck in giraffes, also that is a hereditary variation. Then environmental variation is a type of variation which is environmentally imposed. It is the environment that dictates. Environment dictates the variation. For example, skin color. Some people are dark. They are dark colored. Others are brightly colored, not because that is what their genetic makeup dictates, but it is the environment that has forced them to change, and we call that environmental variation. And there is a new term we are going to encounter in our discussion, and that is the term genome. So the word genome was first used by a French biologist called Hans Winkler. This hand in 1920. Just a piece of information: Hans Winkler was a professor in botany at the Hamburg University. So he used this term in 1920. He was trying to look for a term that could put into consideration two things. Number one, a gene and a chromosome. So that is how we drafted the word genome. But with science today, we define a genome as the total genetic makeup of an organism. And the genome includes all the DNA. And the DNA, remember, has the coding parts, and the non-coding parts of DNA, what they call junk DNA that does not code for anything. So the genome will include both. And remember, in our bodies not only have DNA, they also have RNA. So the genome will encapsulate both terms. So when I say that this is my genome, I'm meaning both DNA and RNA. On top of that, it includes the DNA that is found in things like the chloroplasts, the DNA of the chloroplasts, and mitochondria. For example, if I'm referring to the genome of a specific plant, I also mean the DNA that is in the chloroplast and the DNA that is in the mitochondria. Then also, this term can be used to mean what they call retroviruses. Retroviruses don't have DNA but store their genetic information in form of RNA. So their genome is made up of RNA. When I say the genome of a retrovirus, I'm meaning it's RNA. So that is, I just wanted us to have a clear overview of the word genome. So we've talked of a chromosome. I think we need to look at what they call a chromosome. So a chromosome is simply a structure in which we have DNA molecules surrounded by proteins called histones. A chromosome is made up of DNA and surrounded by histone proteins. So DNA is where we find the genes, and the proteins that surround that DNA are called histones. What I have here is a structure of a chromosome, and a chromosome is made up of two arms, a long arm and a short arm. The long arm is called the P arm, the true arm, and the short arm is called the P arm. So if I try to label it on my chromosome here, this would be my P arm, which is the short one, and this is my true arm, which is the long one. Then a chromosome is made up of two chromatids. And these chromatids are joined together at a point called the centromere. So this is a chromatid and this is also a chromatid. This is a chromatid. Have one chromatid here. We also have another chromatid here. And the two are joined together by what we call the centromere. Then the end, within this chromatid, we have specific points where we have genes located, and we call that a locus. For example, this can be a locus for a specific gene. A locus is the physical location of a gene on a chromosome. Locus is the physical location of a gene on a chromosome. That is a locus. And at the end of each chromosome, we have an area of repeated nucleotides called the telomere. So this telomere is a region of repeated nucleotide sequences. The telomere is a region of repeated nucleotide sequences. So this is my telomere, this is my telomere, this is my telomere, and this is my telomere. And this telomere is very important because number one, it will prevent fusion of chromosomes. Remember, these chromosomes are found within the nucleus, and our nucleus does not only have one chromosome. So these chromosomes will end up fusing together. What prevents that is the telomeres. And during cell division, it is these telomeres that go on shortening. They go on shortening. That is why when their length reduces to a certain point, the cell ceases the process of division and shall end up having that cell undergo apoptosis or other cell physiological pathways that will see it being degenerated. So the shortening of the telomeres is the one that will lead to cessation of the cell division. So this is my chromosome. I repeat, it is made up of two sister chromatids joined together at the centromere, which has a long arm called the true arm and a short one called the P arm, and it has repeated nucleotide sequences at its end called the telomeres. That is a chromosome. Remember, the word genome was putting into consideration two things, a chromosome and a gene. So we shall look at genes later in molecular biology, but we just need to know how does a gene function. We say number one, a gene is located on the locus, and a gene is a basic and fundamental unit of heredity. A gene is a basic and fundamental unit of heredity. A basic and fundamental unit of heredity, and it is located on a locus. How does the gene operate? A gene is located on a chromosome, and a gene is made up of DNA. So this DNA shall be read by certain enzymes, a process called transcription. So in summary, this DNA shall undergo a process called transcription, and transcription will end up with what they call RNA, specifically messenger RNA. This messenger RNA shall move out of the nucleus where we find the chromosomes, on which chromosomes we say we have the genes, and it will move into the cytoplasm, and it shall be translated, or it will undergo a process called translation, and this translation shall end up leading the formation of a protein, and this protein shall be expressed. It shall undergo a process called expression, or it shall be expressed to form a trait or a character. So this summarizes the mechanism of gene action, that the genes which contain DNA shall undergo transcription. That means they shall read the DNA, and the DNA shall produce a complementary strand of mRNA. This mRNA will move out of the nucleus to the cytoplasm, attached to the ribosomes, and within the ribosomes it shall be translated to form a protein, which protein shall be expressed, leading to a formation of a character or a trait. That is, in summary, the mechanism of how genes operate, but we shall look at this process in detail later. So after having understood that, we need to know one last thing, that is inheritance. Inheritance. We said variation can be hereditary or it can be environmental. And we said in hereditary variation is well, there is difference in inherited traits. So inheritance is the passing on of traits from one generation to another. Passing on of traits from one generation to another. One generation to another. And there were some theories that were postulated to explain the theory of inheritance. The first theory is called the blending theory. The blending theory of inheritance. And the second theory is called the particulate theory of inheritance, or famously known as the Mendelian theory of inheritance. The Mendelian theory of inheritance. So in the blending theory, this theory states that offsprings show characters. They show characters from both parents. They show characters from both parents. Therefore, they are intermediates. They are intermediates from both parents. Intermediates from both parents. For the intermediates from both parents. For example, when I get, I'm assuming this is my blender, when I get a mango, and I also put a watermelon, the juice that I will produce will have the color of both the watermelon and the mango fruit. It will neither be the color of the melon nor the color of the mango, but it will be a conglomeration of both. So this theory states that whatever will reflect, whether I'm short, whether you're tall, whether you're brown, whether you're whether you are what, that we show characters from both parents and we are intermediates. If my father is tall and my mother is short, I will neither be tall, neither will I be short. My height will be medium. If my mother is dark skinned and my father is bright skinned, so I will be in between there. Neither will I look like charcoal, neither will I look like snow. I will be a blend of both. But later, Gregor Mendel says, this theory is a very big, terrific lie. He comes up with his own theory to try to explain how traits are transmitted from one generation to another. And he explained that in the Petitulite or the Mendelian theory. For him, he states that traits, or what he called characters are determined by the secret units, that traits or characters are determined by the secret units that are transmitted from one generation to another. That are transmitted from one generation to another. Transmitted from one generation to another. And with the evolution of science, these secret units came to be known as genes. For him, he said that if it is height, if it is color, if it is what, it is supposed to be determined by genes. And these genes are the ones that will be transmitted from one generation to another. So those are the two theories that have been postulated to explain inheritance. We say inheritance, passing on of traits from one generation to another. Till next time.